Our top stories this hour: 755 entrepreneurs from Almaty who suffered losses during the January events have already been compensated. The city's mayor reported to the head of state on the measures to restore and develop the metropolis. Kazakhstan will reduce the recycling fee for vehicles and agricultural machinery by half. This was announced by First Deputy Prime Minister Roman Sklyar. Learn all of the details in our news digest. The tourism industry has already felt the benefits of relaxation of COVID restrictions. Kazakhstan welcomes back the influx of foreign travelers. Over 3,500 international arrivals were reported in the last week. The amount of payments to affected entrepreneurs under the simplified mechanism has been increased to 10 million tenge. Application processing time has been decreased twice from 1 month to 2 weeks. For today, 755 registered entrepreneurs have already received compensation. Tokayev received the mayor of Almaty. This is reported by the press service of Akorda. As noted by Yerbola Dosaev, 90% of the applications of SMEs will be responded by March 10th. Following the meeting, the head of state instructed to prepare proposals for the renewal of the city's engineering networks and pay special attention to the renovation of the housing stock. The policy of open doors for foreign investments remains a strategic priority of Kazakhstan. This was stated by the Kazakh president at an extraordinary meeting of the Foreign Investors Council. Tokayev once again stressed that the state will continue to fully fulfill its obligations and guarantees to partners and those who are ready to invest in the development of our economy.
As of today, now we understand that the January events have brought some degree of uncertainty to our investors. As such, I would like to personally bring clarity and elaborate on further directions of our investment policy. The January crisis had no effect on our adherence to market economy, rule of law, honoring international and domestic commitments. On the contrary, it became a trigger for further improvement.
According to the head of state, today Kazakhstan is undergoing a real transformation, much like to the one the country went through in the 90s. The fundamental basis of the country's new course will be the rule of law, which will apply to everyone without exception.
From now on, principal idea behind economic reforms is not an abstract figures of GDP growth and place in global rankings, but increase of income and living standards of our people. Of course, this objective is not achievable without forming a new class of entrepreneurs as well as inflows of high-quality investment. Our promise to the people and honest businesses on doing away with favoritism, special interests and entitlements of the elite, corruption and oligopolies will be implemented to the fullest extent.
12% of all electricity produced in Kazakhstan by 2035 may come from nuclear power. Achieving this goal, experts say, will help nuclear power plants with a total capacity of 2-4 gigawatts. The new source of basic generation, as reported by the Ministry of Energy, will eliminate the existing deficit and fully meet the needs of consumers. In other words, the nuclear power plant will make the domestic energy system independent. Kazakhstan has all the potential for the development of nuclear energy, experts say. The country is the world leader in terms of natural uranium. Services for its isotopic enrichment are now available. Last year, an enterprise for the production of finished nuclear fuel for Chinese nuclear power plants was opened on the basis of the Ulba metallurgical plant. Now professionals in the field are conducting comprehensive research work to improve the industry.
В настоящее время в Казахстане проводятся исследования по развитию, по возможности развития атомной энергетики в Казахстане.
At present, studies are being carried out in Kazakhstan on the possibility of developing nuclear energy based on natural and climatic factors and the possibility of the impact of nuclear power plants on the environment. An active study of 6 world suppliers of nuclear technologies is underway. These are US, Japanese, Korean, Russian, Chinese and French technologies.
Изучение проводится по критериям безопасности, референтности реакторов, по месту размещения, мощности и стоимости атомной станции.
The rate of recycling fee for vehicles and agricultural machinery will be reduced by 50%. This was stated by the first Deputy Prime Minister of Kazakhstan. Roman Skляр stressed that the country will not completely abandon the waste collection. This can lead to discrediting the engineering industry, and so-called auto junk will be imported into the country. In addition, he added that funds in the amount of more than 200 billion tenge accumulated from the collection of recycling fee will be used for the benefit of the population. In particular, 100 billion tenge will be allocated for preferential car loans of domestic production at 4% per annum and zero down payment. It is expected that more than 70,000 Kazakh residents will be able to purchase vehicles at affordable prices.
Покупать автобус, платить с определенной процентной ставкой.
Buying a bus and paying at a certain interest rate will be expensive for our carriers. They will transfer it to the fare, which is also undesirable. Therefore, it was decided to sell these buses to our carriers at a zero rate for a period of 7 years. We will stimulate our domestic producers, and these funds will work for the benefit of citizens.
Таким образом, мы будем стимулировать нашего отечественного производителя, и эти средства будут работать на благо граждан.
Increase the share of recycled plastic to 40% by 2030. The Kazakhstan Waste Management Association set such an ambitious task. Today in the country, this volume barely reaches 22%. Specialists of the sphere gathered at a conference in the capital to discuss how to achieve such results and answer the questions: what hinders the development of the circular economy in Kazakhstan? What are the new development opportunities in the plastic waste sector, and what will the reform of the EPR system entail? Today, there are only a few dozen enterprises in the country that are engaged in the collection and processing of polymers. This is not only a problem of Kazakhstan but also of the whole world. Every year up to 2 billion tons of household waste is generated on the planet. The way out is a circular economy, experts say.
Пластик состоит из полиэтилена.
The world community and in fact our environmental organizations raise this issue, sound the alarm and believe that it needs to be recycled. Plastic consists of polyethylene, polypropylene, low-pressure polyethylene, high-pressure polyethylene and others, a whole family of polymers there, which are collectively called plastic. There is a certain amount of recycling for each type, but the most important difficulty is to collect it. We have introduced a container fee since December. Therefore, our entire population, housewives, please, it's need to be divided.
Хозяйствам, семьям нужно разделять.
UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres called on the parties to the conflict in Ukraine for an immediate ceasefire. He expressed serious concern about the recent events in this country and called for dialogue.
We are continuing to support the people of Ukraine through our humanitarian operations and human rights efforts. At this critical moment, I call for an immediate ceasefire and re-establishment of the rule of law. We need restraint and reason. We need de-escalation now.
The vaccination rate in Spain has declined markedly in recent weeks. Today, 91% of the country's population over the age of 12 has received both components of the vaccine. According to experts, despite the fact that this figure is comparable to many other European states, it has not changed much over the past 10 days. According to the European Center for Disease Prevention and Control, 49.5% of the population received the third dose of the vaccine, the vast majority of whom are elderly or vulnerable. The rates among young people are even lower. The US, Israel, the Czech Republic and other countries that previously ranked at the top of the spread of coronavirus rankings are reporting a decrease in the number of cases. The WHO attributes this to the growing number of those vaccinated. European states are therefore lifting COVID restrictions. Thus, for example, the Netherlands has been removing almost all measures since February 25th. All establishments will be able to return to normal working conditions. Health certificates are also being cancelled, but the authorities do not rule out their resumption in situations where they may be of use. They will also be kept for traveling abroad. Kazakhstan approved the use of the Russian coronavirus vaccine Sputnik M for adolescents aged 12 to 17 years. Unlike some foreign manufacturers that use the same dosage as for adults, this vaccine is specially adapted for children. According to the latest data, over 465,000 Kazakh teenagers have been vaccinated against COVID. The Pfizer vaccine is currently used for this purpose. Overall, Kazakhstan has administered 2 doses of the coronavirus vaccine to 8,951,617 of. As for Kazakhstan's epidemic situation, 598 new cases of COVID were reported there in the last 24 hours. Almaty continues to account for the highest single-day case load in the country. The southern metropolis detected 206 new cases in the past day. The Kazakh capital of Nur-Sultan follows with 69 new positive cases of infection. The North Kazakhstan region is in the 3rd place with 62 new infections. Since the onset of the pandemic, total COVID-19 cases in the country have passed 1,300,000. The flow of tourists to Kazakhstan is growing, especially after the removal of COVID restrictions. As noted in the Kazakh tourism, only last week more than 3,500 foreigners arrived in the country. The tourism industry in the country is given high priority as well as support to the sphere. A pool of 191 projects has already been collected. The volume of investments will be slightly less than 3 trillion tenge. The Quality Mark program has been approved. 3,300 objects of children's and youth tourism, urban agrotourism and Silk Road routes were inspected. Recommendations for the development of new tourist products were developed. Kazakh tourism is also working to attract international events to Kazakhstan. It has already been confirmed that 12 MICE events will be held in 2022-2025 with the participation of 5,000 foreign delegates. At the same time, the focus is on digital marketing and PR tools. Tourist sites of Kazakhstan have been repeatedly marked abroad, so domestic hotels and guest houses became the best according to the version of the global publishing house Lonely Planet. The Telegraph distinguished our country as a dynamically developing destination and Almaty as a top city budget destination for 2022. The national park Kolsay Kuldere and the village of Sate received the Global Rural Tourism Oscar.
Ahmet Baytırсынұлы, өгізбен бақа. Біріміз айдың шалқар көлге келді. Жағалап, суаты бар жерге келді.
How to create a video and feel more confident on camera. A creative school in the Almaty region helps children to develop their abilities and master new skills. Those who wish, and there are almost 200 people, are taught the basics of cinematography and the creation of clips as well as oratory. I dream of becoming a professional clip maker, making short films. We are already trying to make our own film. The main thing is that we learn to work with light, choose the right angle for filming. It's all very exciting. We have all the conditions here. There are necessary things, computers and cameras. We teach children to assemble videos in special programs. We train them completely. In total, 11 clubs work at the creative school. Children can apply for one or another of them online. The project is implemented by the Regional Department of Culture within the per capita financing of clubs and classes. The state pays for a child's 12 visits per month. My daughter has been attending the classes for about 2 months. She participates in the oratorical club. She likes it. She has good achievements. I am a teacher. This is useful for children's development both morally and spiritually.